and she's here. Good evening, Evie.
Good evening, Solon.
Thank you so much for spending this time, taking the time to spend with us this evening. So Evie Kanhai-Gurchuran, entrepreneur, co-founder of Sites GY, CEO and co-founder of Java, one of the leading eateries in Guyana. Wow, okay. Passionate on digital media and business integration. Sites GY has changed the website development platform by offering affordable website to young upcoming entrepreneurs and brand ambassadors. The new innovative approach not only brings about affordability but provides a learning component, teaching individuals how to build websites on a user friendly platform. Young upcoming entrepreneurs can save through this amazing and easy do it yourself platform for website development. The organization offers training for youth on website and app development. This organization revolutionized the game of IT and innovation with the use of its educational approach. It is an organization that empowers not only through its products, but through knowledge. Evie, I love to ask this question. Well, let me ask it this way. How does this wife and mother of two we have come to know as Evie Kanhai-Gurchuran likes to be described by those who are close to her?
How do I like to be described?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I I like most of all for people to know that I'm kind and that I'm approachable
Mm-hmm.
and that they never have to fear talking to me or telling me their idea or even a suggestion. I always try to encourage people to say what's on their mind and to let's have a conversation and let's talk about it, not keep things in.
I have to ask this question every time I hear the name Kanai. Are you related to one of Guyana's cricket greats, Rohan Kanai?
I am not. I actually got that question a lot growing up. And there was actually the pun with my name where people thought it was, hilarious to say Evie Kanai. But
Evie, we are interested in your works in entrepreneurship and digital media, and how it got started, how and when.
I'm really the face of sites, but the founder, who's my husband, Miguel Bertrand, he's really the person behind the mechanics of it all. He designed the platform, he licensed it out, and he really developed a knowledge bank and for not only his team to learn, but also that we could then teach business people and teach young people how to just hone their digital skills or develop digital skills that they could then use locally or even on an overseas market.
What what were some of the challenges you had to overcome when you guys first started?
Definitely one of the biggest challenges was to convince people that this was a positive step forward for digital media. Some people felt that such a platform was kind of cheapening the experience of building websites and building apps, and it was really difficult to kind of influence the IT community that we're looking at it from a marketing perspective and an end user perspective, and we're not by any means trying to undermine or cheapen in any fact the work that programmers do or coding in any way. But it was that up to the point that we introduced sites and even other web platforms that Guyanese businesses were just seeing websites as something that was unattainable for them, whether because it's too expensive or because they just didn't understand what being on the net was about or how to use those tools to market their business and create a global brand.
Mhm. Well, at what point did you realize that this was the right direction to go in?
Well, you mentioned that we had several businesses, and we're very much, I like to think, up to date with what's being done digitally and taking our brand global. And there was a frustration in that Miguel would have to build websites for every one of our businesses. And then when we started using the app integrations, and even building stores, he was just having a hard time with, he can't find the right features, and he's not satisfied with what's out there currently. And I saw his frustration because I'm a designer, so I would have to design for him to then put into the applications. And it just felt like we were getting nowhere. And then he said, you know what? I want this to be simpler. I want to be able to do websites fast. And within a couple of days, we had 4 websites out. I had never built a website before, and I went on to it, and I was building websites within 24 hours. And I'm not talking about simple WordPress. I'm talking about integrating video into your websites and images and all these kind of things. So the platform really opened, even for me, who has been seasoned in digital marketing and advertising, a new avenue for getting the business noticed.
Let's talk a little bit about, you mentioned several businesses. Let's talk about a little bit about what you do. I mean, I understand you have this restaurant, and your passion is for baking and so on and so forth. But let's talk a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey, your specific entrepreneurial journey. What was the trigger? When did this first start for you?
Well, I grew up in a family that had the business. My father had an electrical store, and he really just brought us up. Even if you wanted money to spend, you had to like wash his car and things like that. So he really, and I'm so appreciative of that. That he always ingrained in us that anytime we want something, we have to work for it. And I really just grew up with that, and it's just stuck with me. And uh, I've had a lot of exposure through the church, and being in church. I was with a missions organization where I spent several months volunteering on a ship in North Africa. And I just, those experiences in Jubilanti, I think mentioned this before, the experience that you have when you're able to see what's possible elsewhere,
Mhm.
and then you can bring it back to your home country and expand your knowledge, and not only expand but kind of curate from what you have available at home, is where I really find my drive for entrepreneurship.
Mhm. So, what was the first business you started?
The first business I began was MTech, and actually, that started because and I always say this: my parents, my husband's parents, too, made such great sacrifices to ensure that we were tech enabled. My dad took a computer out on hire purchase for us, and to do church work and school work. And then people would start asking me to type documents for them or to create something for them. And then like they'd put the money in my hand when I give it to them. I said, okay, I can do this. And I was about 15 years old. So that's the first time that I realized that I could be in business for myself.
You believe in educating others. T-
I
t-
do.
tell us about that. What drives you to do that?
What drives me? Uh, I have had a tremendous amount of people that have made inputs in my life, especially where education is concerned. My dad always encouraged us to at least read one book a week. My husband is always pushing me to study. It was my father always told us a story about how when he went to church and they taught him how to read, and it's what opened doors for him because he then became a pastor and a bishop. And if someone hadn't taken the time to teach him how to read, my life might have been different. I might not have been, you know, as influenced as I am today, or even as educated as I am today, if someone didn't take that interest in him. And also, Felicia touched on that skills aren't available. And as an employer, how are we hoping that people get skills by just waking up one morning and there's some, you know, magic potion if we're not taking the time and using our initiative to train the next generation or create a workforce that works for our business, then we're not only failing our businesses, we're failing our young people. I'm in the restaurant industry, and I'll tell you, people don't see the restaurant industry as a career path. They see it as a stepping stone to the next best thing. And that's because we don't have finishing schools. There's Carnegie, which does a wonderful job. There's no culinary institute. There are a few coming here now. But people don't see themselves going past a waiter or a housekeeper because there's no opportunity that says, hey, you can someday be running this hotel. You could be managing this restaurant. And it all goes back to training people and educating them, not only with the skills and the the education that they need, but also placing within them the possibilities and showing them that there's life outside of where you started.
You know, so many young people complain about not getting the right direction, the right support, not getting, they're tired of the status quo and so on. Yet there are those who don't wait around, don't sit down and, wait for a handout or wait for the government or somebody in the private sector to say, look, here, go get started. People like yourself and your husband and Jubilanti and so on. Why do you think, what makes you different? Why do you think some are able to do that and others sort of like at an impasse?
I would say it's two things. It's that at your most desperate time, someone is there to tell you that there is a better place or a better situation for you to be in.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also, conquering fear. Being an entrepreneur, business owner, and I hope you're familiar with this term because you're Guyanese, but you gotta have belly, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's two sides of fear. There's the fear that keeps you from doing something, and then there's the fear that keeps you doing something. I I wake up every morning and I would never want to see one of my restaurants closed, and I put my best foot face everything forward because I'm not about to watch my hard work go down the drain. So you have to conquer that fear and find balance. And I hope that you embrace the fear that drives you forward and doesn't make you become recluse or introvert.
Where did you get your experience in the restaurant business?
I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
Where did you get your experience in the restaurant business?
Oh, actually, working on the ship, I worked in the galley department. I was volunteering there, and I used to be a part of like the events department, and we cooked for about 200 to 300 people a day. So.
You talk about fear, the two types of fears. Did you have any when you first launched the restaurant?
When I first launched a restaurant,
Uh-huh.
yes, we used our savings to do it. So there was a whole lot of cool stuff, nice looking restaurant, and no money.
so so what kept you going? The fear of failing or the determination to succeed?
It's a combination of both. There's a rush that you get from being an entrepreneur, an adrenaline rush. Some people might even call us adrenaline junkies, but it's like closing a deal makes you feel so good, or
Right.
for me, like coming up with a new marketing idea or a new drink or something for the restaurant, and I'm so happy to win to see people's reaction. And it's of course it's about testing and measuring and all that, but there's just something about that, and not everybody has it, and I've actually learned to respect that. I had one of my really good friends. I tried to start a business for her because she wasn't happy in her workplace. And I'm like, come, let me start a business for you. You can run it, and you can run it. I'll show you how. She's like, you know what? No, I don't have what you have. I prefer to go the career path.
Mm-hmm.
And in that moment, I'm like, I totally respect that because I could not. And I'm sorry, but I feel like sometimes we set our young people up by telling them, "Oh, go open a business, get into entrepreneurship." I don't ever tell people that.
Mm-hmm.
I always say, have a plan. You want to get into entrepreneur. You want to open your business. Start slowly, save your money, transition from your job to entrepreneurship. because besides an income, so, and this is so important, Felicia touched on it, working, especially for a small business, and understanding how a business works, understanding aspects of accounts and bookkeeping, or even stock taking, purchases, inventory. These are not things that our young people are being taught. They're being taught, oh, here's a business, you need customers, you need product, you need to move it, you need to get your money. Not being taught money management, not being taught, customer satisfaction training and all these things. So it's kind of a trap, even though we're trying to liberate people. There needs to be a lot of thought about transitioning into entrepreneurship, because entrepreneurship is not owning a business.
What is the name of your restaurant?
Constantly evolving your business.
Sorry. What is the name of your restaurant, and is what type of what is the specialty?
The restaurant is Java Coffee Bar. We boast that we can make your coffee over 200 ways, and that is so.
200
We
ways?
appreciate
Mm. Does Guyana have a lot of coffee
we have a
drinkers?
lot of flavors that we've introduced that we have. So we mix flavors and we do a lot of good stuff with your coffee. So both my husband and I and my sister that runs a restaurant with us, we're trained baristas, and so you're getting a good cup of coffee.
what what is your specialty brew, or yeah, what is your specialty brew?
Our specialty brew. Well, we promote local, so we use our Ames Farm coffee on our percolator, but we also import a Hurricane brew, and it's really good. It's a dark roast, and people are loving it. Gives you a really nice cappuccino. So,
What were your friends and family's reaction to you getting into entrepreneurship?
well, family, it was pretty much, oh well, we expected you to go into electrical because everybody does that. And I was actually working with my dad for a long time, and I know how to fit up lamps and stuff. Wire.
Is
But
that why your light is so great?
yeah. So, but getting into food, there were a lot of mixed emotions. There were people that said, you might as well just go open a drugstore, or the economy is really bad. Why would you want to get into food? Uh, and it's not, I don't think all of the time it's that people want to give you a bad vibe or discourage you. Is there are real concerns
Hmm.
when you're going into business, when you're spending a lot of money to bring a business to the level where you can attract the customers you need with the spending power. um, there's a lot of consideration to go in it. And being young business people, you have to listen to what everybody says, but then you have to filter and have that vision. Um, have that vision. And the thing with vision is that everybody else can't see it. You see it.
True.
Uh, you know what you're talking about. But it needs refining, and you've got to listen to what everybody says, but you've also got to listen to you and stick to your passion, and just, if you know you got a good idea, you owe it to yourself, even if you fail, to know that I did it. I went after it, I tried, I gave it my best shot. Didn't work out, let's go. Plan B.
What is the best piece of entrepreneurial advice someone has ever given you?
The best piece of entrepreneurial advice that someone's ever given to me. It's just to keep trying. Don't ever give up. If Get up every day, and if you know that you're called to this entrepreneurial life, then you've just got to get up every day and give it your all. You're not going to be 100% successful every day, but there are those days when your wins are going to make up for all those days that you didn't, you know, that the losses were great.
You mentioned Miguel and his um, foray into this space where he built his own platform that where people can build their own websites and so on. I think that's very courageous of him in an environment like Guyana and so on. But how do the two of you encourage and inspire and motivate each other?
Um, just by talking to each other, and doing so with the confidence that anything you say is treated with confidence and nothing you say is stupid.
Mm, I like
Seriously,
that.
you can if you can talk to somebody and tell them your ideas and actually have them listen to you, and not only listen but challenge you by asking you questions, so that your mind can start working out the answers. You know, that's where we found our balance. Because it works on both sides. If I come to him with an idea, he'll ask me all these questions, and it's frustrated. I would not even lie a little bit, but what it is that we're working it out. But everyone, I think, needs that safe space that they can go to. They can talk to somebody without fear of their idea being rejected
Mhm.
or fear of just being put down. And Felicia touched on it again that you know going to businesses with your concept and your idea is paralyzing. I used to walk behind Miguel when we would go into business meetings, and now I walk ahead of him, and I'm like sticking my arm out. Hi, nice to meet you. But it took me 18 years in the industry to build that confidence, and
Mhm.
that's because sometimes people can be mean. I don't know how else to put it, but you're like young, up and coming, and these people are acting like they're gonna be alive forever and running the show. And
Wh-
you just
what do you think is your biggest takeaway, or how what is the biggest part that have grown for, let me rephrase that question, that is not coming out right. What do you think is the biggest growth you have had since in the 18 years? What about you, um, in terms of entrepreneurship, you believe that has grown that you're proud of, most proud of?
not caring what people think.
I
To
like that.
just stop caring what people think about about me or about when I say that, I don't mean in an irresponsible way. I
Mm-hmm.
mean that not letting people's opinions and their judgments to affect how I do business, how I live, or how I choose to extend my services or extend myself to others and watching them grow. Everybody's a critic. It really is difficult, and sometimes you even find that people don't like you and you don't even know why. And I'm very outspoken about this. Sometimes I even say I live in a bubble. But I think a more accurate description is I live on a pedestal because I'm just looking forward at my goal, and I'm not watching to see what your opinion of me, how it can affect me
So
or
when
affect
so when you walk into a business meeting
others.
or a conference, let's say a conference, um, what are you what are you hoping will happen or you will learn? What are you hoping to teach?
I'm always hoping that I'll meet that one person who actually is sincere in a meeting.
Hmm.
A lot of people go to networking events, and yes, you need to represent your brand, and yes, you need to make connections. But there's always someone in that room that will come up to you and say, "Hi, how are you? What's your name?
Mm.
Uh, how are you today?" Or some question that is about you, and not just here's my business card. Can I have your business card? Okay. I really look for connections when I go to networking events or connections when I go into a business meeting. I'll look for the person with the biggest smile or the person that's probably dressed quirkily or something because I know that I will get along with that person. I like when people are professional but at the same time conscious that we need to have a personal relationship too.
How can the private sector and the government be more helpful to young people?
There needs to be definitely open discussion on policies that are currently there, and it cannot be across the board. It has to be systematic, and it has to be by industry. What affects me might not affect anybody else that you've had on your show because maybe we're in different types of business.
Mhm.
At the moment, there are a lot of regulations being put in place for the importation of food items. And like Jubilante mentioned, when you get information from one person, you go to somebody else that wasn't correct, you have to go back. These things cost business people time. They cost us money. They cost, um, there's many costs involved, and we're hoping that there's some kind of digital integration where we can just hop online and get information on how to import, and also don't work against us young business people. If you want something done a certain way, give me like a booklet or something that says this is the way you do it, and I will comply. I'm not here to fight anybody. I'm here to make a living. I'm here to grow. I chose to stay in Guyana, and I chose to open businesses here and work and grow with my country. Work with me. Let me help you. Tell me what I have to do. Help me help myself and help me help other people.
If you could identify one or two ministries that should be listening to these conversations, um, which ministries would you suggest listen, not just hear as Jubilant to say, but listen to what the ideas that are coming out from these young people, from yourselves?
Felicia's still here and she's telling me all of them.
she, she can peep in. She can peep.
But I really feel that the ministries that have the most influence over how people think are one, the Ministry of Education.
Mm.
Education is changing. Everything is changing. People are still saying digital marketing without realizing that that's almost redundant. No, you can't be doing marketing
Without
well if you're not digital. A lot of things are becoming obsolete. Or our education system, it needs a revolution. Definitely the Ministry of Business. Some aspects of the Ministry of Health, because like I said, they are actually responsible for a lot of business industries. So their input is definitely needed. Ministry of Housing, we have this. You have to go through them to get licenses and these kind of things. So it needs to be a collaborative effort. It's not one ministry. And again, Julante touched on this, that you have to go all over the place to ensure that your business is complying with what the government has set out. And I will reiterate, we are in no way as young people trying to fight against systems. What we're looking for is clarity and a little give, that if you're expecting this much of me, come on, give me something back, give me a contract. And I actually wrote a letter to the Ministry of Business one time saying, why not have a revolving system where we all come in with our applications to you, and if 5 people have restaurants, you give me one job, you give the next person the next job, and the way you kind of sieve us out is if we don't meet your expectations and we cannot provide to the ministries, or we cannot provide for the government contract, you let us know, and we bow out of it. And there's so many ideas that a lot of young people have, and nobody's listening to us. Nobody.
As I asked Felicia, if we could arrange a conversation with the respective parties, and I'm not. I hope I'm not sounding presumptuous here, but
I hope so.
nothing ventured, nothing gained, right? And some of the greatest ideas or the greatest accomplishments come from daring to leap. But if that is possible, can be done, will you be part of that? Would you like to be part of that?
I would be part of that. And I hope that it's more than just a conversation. I feel like it needs to be like several days of workshopping, seminars, and things like that. Talking is great and wonderful, but I think out of it, we're having a lot of talk. People, you're getting the nods when you say things, but then there's nothing coming out of it. So maybe if that conversation can evolve to an action plan where we sit and we say, this is the course over the next year, let's test how this goes. Let's measure how it went. Let's reevaluate. Let's go back to the table. Let's do something for next year. And I am telling you, there are young people, there are business people that are willing to put in the time. And I'm sure I'm speaking for several that I know free of cost, just to ensure that there is more ease of movement and more ease of doing business in
The time is up. Is Felicia still there?
Yes, she is.
Okay, I want to try an experiment. Is there
Sure.
another chair in the room we can bring her to sit next to you? No?
There is. We might make a lot of noise getting in here.
That is fine. That is
That's
fine. Yeah,
fine.
go.